Hello, Maro here. Welcome to the new format of my blog. Hope you enjoy it. If you have not done it yet, please sign up to my newsletter and get the latest information about startup strategy, funding, and management. Today we are talking about cost. Cost is basically everything that a business has to spend in order to keep running. We're going to talk about the types of costs that exist, how you can allocate this cost in different business areas and how actually this cost affect these business areas, as well as how you can actually efficiently manage this cost to reach your startup goals. So I'm just going to start with a brief example. A friend of mine a while ago had a fast food business. Early stage, they were just beginning, but they actually were managing to increase their sales a lot month after month after month. And the problem was that even though they were increasing their sales, they had to put money into the business every single month. And my friend didn't know exactly what was happening. He called me over, he asked me to take a look at the financials. He knows that I have years of experience in finance, so I could help him out. And basically, after looking into it, I found out that actually the relationship between the price and the cost was wrong. Basically, they were pricing the hamburgers, especially the hamburgers, at a lower value than actually their costs. So I'm just going to give an example here. These numbers are completely made up, so don't mind too much about it. So let's say that they're selling the burger for £10, the unit, and actually the price to make this, the cost to make this hamburger was £15, which means that every burger they sold was the same thing as if they were giving £5 to every single customer that came into the shop, which means that every 10 customers that they had, £50 were going out of their pockets. 100 customers would be 500. So every time they increase their sales, they're actually losing more money. So I went ahead and told them, hey, you have to think about this. You have to either increase your price or find a way to decrease your costs. However, they thought that they could not change the price because basically, on their interpretation, it was already on the limit in that market they were in. That might have been true, but also they could not decrease the cost apparently because they were already on a tight control. However, if a business finds themselves like that, sometimes it's better either you change your business, you change the products that you're making, make a cheaper product, keep your price, or you just go out of business because before it's too late, before you actually go bankrupt, because you cannot keep a situation like that for long. You might have deep pockets and that will take you longer to actually go out of business. And it might be a strategy to gain market and then you can increase your price. However, if you use a strategy of underpricing, that actually is considered illegal in most countries. So you have to be careful with that. And you might say, hey, startups lose money all the time in the beginning. Yes, but they have to have a very good cash management and they have to make sure that they have enough money to keep going on. And usually the money they are losing is used either to develop a new product or to increase their sales. It's not used to actually pay for what you're selling. You usually have a good relationship between price and cost. Or do you? And that's the question. You have to think about it. You have to actually make the calculation to understand if you're actually pricing your price in a way that is higher than your costs. So this is one example. It's a simple example so you can understand how costs can influence if a business is making or not money. In their case, unfortunately, they went out of business because they couldn't keep this situation going for long. They could not keep putting money into the business. And for a lot of startups, you might say, hey, I don't have a restaurant, I have some other business. It doesn't matter. You have to make sure that the price that you're selling your product is actually higher than the cost that you have to make that product. And in order to do that, you have to categorize your costs. You have to understand where the cost goes. And now I'm going to tell you about the different types of cost areas. First one is production cost, and this is what we're talking about right now. So basically it's everything that goes into making a product. In this case, in the burger case, is the bun, the lettuce, the meat, whatever sauce you put into it, but also the cost of making the burger in terms of salary of the cook, the energy that was used to cook it, and everything else that you can think that goes into making this product. And a lot of startups don't think about all the costs that are involved in actually making a product, especially salaries. So let's say a startup that's using Amazon, they will need to put the cost of Amazon for their product as well. So that's a production cost, Amazon Cloud. The other cost would be sales and marketing. And basically that's everything that you put into sales team, into marketing. Let's put in advertising Facebook or anywhere else that you're using. Then you have administrative cost, which is basically the cost of running the business. So if you're having an external accountant and you're paying them, that's an administrative cost. If you have a financial person on board, so this person usually is an administrative cost. Then you have financial costs, and this is not very usual for startups to have, which is basically if you take a loan, the interest that you're paying on this loan will be your financial cost. It's not very common. There are some government supported initiatives on that side. There's also peer-to-peer loans that can be accessed by startup, but not very common. The next one, and this one you'll be happy if you have it, is taxes, because it means that you're making a revenue. Usually you have VAT and then you have income taxes. VAT, you have to have a threshold of revenues to make it, to start paying it. So if you're doing it, you actually reach already interesting level of revenues. And to pay income tax, you have to make profits. So that's good for you as well. Of course, every single major company is trying to avoid taxes in a way or the other. Being a small company is much harder to do it. Then once you identify what each cost is, then you have to actually allocate this cost in different areas. So one example, for instance, let's say you have the product, you have product costs, and then you have also allocation per area. If you think about products, let's say you have a developer and he's working in app number 1 and app number 2, and say he's using 50% of his time on app number 1, 50% of his time on app number 2. So you're gonna get the salary of this person divided by 2. Half of it goes to app number 1 as a cost, half of it goes to app number 2 as a cost. So this is one thing about thinking about allocation of costs related to products, related by areas. So let's say you're renting space, and in the space, half of the people working there are from sales and marketing, and half of the people working there are for administrative area. So basically, how you do is split the cost per area. So the rent divided by 2, half goes to sales, half goes to administrative. If it was a different split, you have the different split going on. And that will change according to different companies. So it might not be half and half, it might be different. So let's say electricity costs, maybe let's say you have developers and then they're using more electricity because they're using a server or they're using the computer a longer time, and you can actually have a different split according to the usage. But you have to think about how to allocate these different costs. And that's important because then once you know which areas are receiving the costs, you're putting the money in, you will know what you need to expect from them. That's basically, let's say that you are an early stage startup and most of your money is going, and you don't have a product yet, and most of your money is going to sales and marketing. That's not ideal. The ideal would be we're going to investments into developing a product and putting the product out into the market. Or if you're a later stage, you already have a product and you're trying to gain market, then you should have most of your money going to sales and marketing and not going into development. So you see how this cost allocation can help you identify if you are targeting the right thing to reach the goal that is right for you as a startup, depending on your stage. Another thing important to understand is there is a relationship between costs and revenues. So let's say you have a call center, okay? And that's a cost for if the focus is on support, then it's more into the administrative area. If it is more into sales, then it's to the sales area. But let's not talk about the location. Let's talk about, let's say you put more money into it and it's focused on sales. Theoretically, by investing more into call center focus on sales, you should get more sales and you should get more revenues. So you have a relationship between what you're investing and the results that you get in your revenues. You can always use bigger companies as a proxy to see how the results should look in terms of, let's say you invest 10, you should get 100 in sales. Or of course, bigger companies will have different results, but you can adjust it over time. And as you do this over time, this cost allocation, and see how the cost will result in higher revenues, you will get how this works for you specifically. Then basically what you're doing here, you're identifying the costs, putting per category, then you have to see how you're going to allocate this cost according to product, according to area, and see how this cost relates to your results. And then you use that to better manage your costs to achieve your goals. So number one, identify your costs. Number two, allocate them. Number three, identify relationship between cost and return. And number four, you better manage this cost to reach your goals. So as I said, early stage startup, focus more on development. Later stage startup, focus more on sales and marketing. Even late stage startup, focus on building your administrative area so you have a robust management area to keep on going. So that's it. I hope that after this you'll be able to better manage your costs, and wait for my next video, should be coming shortly. See you soon.